Welcome to the sixth episode of the Virtual Talent Room podcast, a podcast dedicated to virtual conversations with the unemployed youth from the townships of Cape Town in South Africa, aged between 18 and 35 years old. Listen in and experience our guests as they talk about the impact of unemployment on their lives and families, as they share their career experiences and the value they bring to corporates. I'll be your host, Mandisama Kubalo, and in today's episode, I'll be talking to the talented Quincy Mofokeng. I will allow her to introduce herself. Quincy, how are you today?
Hello, I'm Quincy. I'm doing very well today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank Quincy. I'm very excited to have you here, and I'm looking forward to this
Thank you so
conversation.
much.
Let's see if we can catch some
Definitely.
eyeballs and get some recruiters saying we want Quincy in our books. So Quincy, maybe please give us your full name and surname and maybe tell us who's Quincy. I would like to know who's Quincy.
All right, so I'm Quincy Mofokeng. I currently reside in Thambo Village, that's in Manenberg, just a small neighborhood in between Manenberg and Bukuletu. I am I'm outgoing. I'm very bubbly. I think my personality just gives it away. I had studied marketing, however, couldn't finish because of financial reasons. And I guess I'm here today looking for a better opportunity
So where are you connecting with us from today?
from Thambo Village Manager.
Okay, thank you, Quincy. So Quincy, you're unemployed, right?
Yes.
And how long have you been unemployed for?
I've been unemployed for around about 4 to 5 months now.
Okay. And maybe tell me and the listeners how it's been like for you emotionally, financially. What's been the impact of you being unemployed on Quincy and your family?
Honestly, psychologically, it's taken a toll on me. Reason being is that I was living on my own, when I had started working. I left home, I went out to rent. Life was nice. And then the moment I had lost my job, I had lost everything basically, and I had to go back home. And the reason why I left home at first was because I thought I had found a common ground, and I had found myself. And now after losing my job, having to go back home, needing the family to adjust to me being around after me being away for quite some time. And it's been a bit rough, but slowly but surely it's getting better each and every single day.
Okay, so let's see if we can change that through this conversation, So Quincy, now that you've been at home for, let's say, 5 months, are there any things
Mhm.
that you would say you have learned through this process about Quincy that you think you will change going forward?
Firstly, I've learned a big attitude change. Reason being is that in a way I had this attitude whereby I had thought that I am my own person. I thought that I don't need to do certain things in order to please certain people. However, now when I look back, I see that it's time for me to start appreciating every single thing that I have, And when it comes to a job perspective, doing something for quite some time, it tends to get boring, and with it getting boring, it's hard for me to appreciate what I have and to actually find a common ground, of which now I've reset my mindset into knowing that, okay, it's time that I make certain changes. It's time that I focus, I change my attitude and look at things on a brighter scale as to this is what's happening now and this is what I need to focus on now. This is what I need to give my all now. So me going into a new job, I'm going to into this new job with a very positive mindset and with a willing spirit to give it all and to give it my utmost best.
Okay, so I'm very happy to hear that as much as COVID-19 has resulted in you being
Mm-hmm.
unemployed, it's actually forced this change in you that
Yeah.
so there's a good side to it and there's a bad side, but I mean, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna focus on the good side today. Okay. So I'm happy, I'm enjoying this one. So Quincy, can you maybe tell me and the listeners what are the values that Quincy holds very dear to Quincy? It's things that you really hold dear. I mean, I know one of my biggest values is respect. You know, I believe that as much as respect is earned, it's not
Mhm,
negotiable. You respect people, you respect the spaces that you're in, you respect company
mm,
property, you respect your space at home, you respect your body. Respect goes a
mhm.
long way. So, what are the values that you hold very dear to Quincy?
Very dearly, first of all, like you said, respect. It's one common value that I feel like everyone should hold. I hold integrity,
Mm,
right? I am a very honest person and I am process driven, right? Even though sometimes I may move out of process in order to make sure that at the end of the day, that specific task is completed. However, once I put my mind onto it, I give it my all. I am a very willing person. I'm very adaptable. I'm able to adapt into each and every single environment that I'm put into. One of
mm,
my biggest values is that I'm very confident. And whenever I'm given a certain task, I make sure that I execute that task to the best of my capabilities, and I'm not always afraid to reach out for help if I see that a task that I'm given at hand is very hard for me to finish. I do ask for help. At the end of the
mm.
day, you're not a person on your own. You do need a support structure.
I love that. I think a lot of the times people are too scared to say, I don't
Mm,
know. I mean, I would say I
mhm,
agree with you fully. As much as I'm in this position, I don't want to ever get to a stage where I believe that I cannot learn from other people and I know
mhm,
all there is to know. I think once you get to that stage, there's a little bit of arrogance that starts kicking in. But I
mm.
think as human beings, we'll never get to a stage where we know everything there is to know. So I love that. So Quincy,
Thank
how
you.
can you take one of, or maybe some of these values you spoke about? How do you see these values helping corporates? So if I were to employ you today, how do you see those values helping me as a business?
All right. So, firstly, the values that I share and the values that I have, I see them impacting businesses a lot and impacting these businesses in a positive way. Firstly, with me being respectful, it builds a common ground in between myself and my employee. They do understand, and I understand as well that yes, they are in a position of management, and this is the position that I currently have, and I respect that, and I give my all to make sure that I proceed and I do what I'm supposed to be doing. When it comes to integrity, I always value what I'm given, all right? And I make sure that if ever I'm in a place of, in a company, I make sure that whatever I do, and if I'm outside, if I'm wearing the uniform or if I'm wearing a certain badge or a symbol that represents that company, whatever I do is the image of the company. And I make
Yes.
sure that in my life, whatever I do reflects positively on the company as well.
Okay. Thank you. That's a brilliant response, Quincy. Thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you.
Quincy, we both know that we've had COVID 19
Mhm,
coming in our midst and making itself our friend.
mhm,
And we're not friends with COVID 19. I don't know why
mhm.
it's trying to make itself our
Not at
friend.
all.
We're not friends. So, what are some of the key challenges you have seen companies facing as a result of COVID 19?
The first challenge that I've seen is the challenge of retrenchment, all right, whereby companies had to let go of certain people due to insufficient funds, all right. I come from a contact center environment whereby it has slightly been a challenge whereby I had to shift into the position of putting employees at home and having people work from home. And in some cases, areas that we are living, some of us are not fortunate enough to live in lavish areas, if I may put it that way,
Yes.
you know, and we live in the locations whereby, firstly, it's not safe for office equipment. There could be a break-in at any given time. Secondly, there's issues with network connectivity. There's no 4G towers near,
Yes.
and stuff like that. It gives a very negative impact onto the business itself.
Okay. Okay. I love that. So how do you see yourself? Maybe the issue of 4G towers being available might be completely out of your scope. But how do you see yourself helping companies through some of your experience and skill sets, helping them overcome some of these challenges that they are currently facing?
All right. When it comes to the retrenchment, all right, I had that after leaving my job, and I had thought about things being done in a different way. I came up with an idea of how about instead of businesses letting go of a certain number of people, let's help out everyone. All right. Yes, I understand that decreasing a certain people's hours is not ideal. However, to trying to accommodate most people, how about to go to the state of, okay, let's say that this week we'll take 4 employees, right? And then we'll say that you will work Monday, 5 hours, the next one will work Tuesday, 5 hours, instead of having to let go of the one that would have to work Tuesday. Really, we all have families, and we all need to take care of ourselves, and we all need a job. So the idea was to, instead of letting people go, let's spread the hours that we have, and let's spread the capital that we have amongst everyone, so that we are able to accommodate everyone in
I
the
love
workplace.
that. I love that. So whoever is listening to this response from Quincy, Quincy is going to send you an invoice for this idea if you're going to start implementing it. Thank you so much, Quincy. And
It's a
Quincy,
pleasure.
what type of business culture do you see yourself thriving in the most? So where do you see, so if you look at companies and the different cultures that they have,
Mhm.
which culture brings out the best in Quincy?
For me, what brings out the best is a safe space, right? A space where I am able to express myself without feeling the need to hold back, right? However, in me expressing myself would be me expressing myself in a professional manner, respecting that I am also still an employee of a certain business. The kind of culture that I would like would be a culture whereby a company embraces their employees, and they try their best to make sure that the employees are happy. It's one thing to have a job, and it's another thing to be happy with what you're doing. And yes, sometimes we say that happiness is not everything. However,
Yes.
it does matter, because if I'm frustrated and I'm going to work, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be productive. However, if I'm in a safe space, if I'm in a space where I'm able to be creative, if I'm in a space where I'm able to open up, if I'm in a space where I'm able to express my views without thinking that if I express this, the next day I'm going to get fired. Being in a space whereby I am able to be myself, that's
Yes.
the kind of environment that I'm looking
I love that. I love that, Quincy. So, Quincy, what are some of the industries that you've worked in?
for. Okay, so firstly, I've worked for a bank. I've done a meet and greet. I've worked mostly and most recently, I've worked in a contact center environment whereby it's an outsource, basically working on a company and a campaign from the United States of America, while in the comfort of being in Cape Town. And with that, I done technical. I was a technical analyst in assisting in fixing a.
Okay. Okay. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, Quincy, remember, we are having this conversation
Mhm.
together, but
Yes,
you're not talking to me, you're talking to your prospective employer.
definitely.
So,
Mhm.
what would you like to say to them about Quincy? Why should they
All
take
right.
Quincy and
So,
not any
mhm.
other candidate?
Okay. So the reason why I would be the best candidate is because Firstly, I am always willing to learn more. I'm always eager to go the extra mile. I am one person who is not shy and who's not afraid to say, listen, I'm struggling and I need help. I am one person that would go out of my way to make sure that a certain task that I am given, I execute and I execute that specific task to the best of my capabilities. Yes, I had studied marketing and I am looking forward into finishing that. However, what I've learned along the way is that I won't sell myself short. I won't say that this is not the job and this is not the career path that I had studied for. This is not the career path that I want. However, I will take any opportunity that's given to me and I will make sure that I execute it with the best of my capability. If I do so, one of the things that I do there.
Okay, thank you so much, Quincy. And let's pretend I'm Santa. So I'm Santa Claus today. Today it's Christmas Day, 25th of December. And I come into your house with a box filled with positions. What positions do you feel that, based on your skill set and experience, you would add the greatest value?
All right. So based on my skill set, the ideal job that I'd pull out of the box or that I'd put into the box would be one, if I am given the opportunity to go back into a contact center environment, I would love to work at the back end. I would love to work in management positions whereby I'm able to see that employees are given certain benefits, employees are made to feel comfortable with certain things. All right. Another thing that I would be looking into would be going into the marketing field, as I am a person with the jobs and the skill sets that I prior have proved that I am very good with dealing with people. I'm very creative in finding ways to assist and ways to generate more ideas, fresh ideas into saying, for example, hey, look, this is what we have and this is what we're going for. What else can we add? And I always look into seeing and finding what else can we add to what we currently have to make it something greater for the future.
Okay, amazing. So what I find is that sometimes when I say I'm Santa, I have a box, pick and choose, people are like, okay, let me think. Don't think there's a box in front of you, just plug in. So I love the fact that you just plugged in. So Quincy, we've come to the end of our conversation. I have enjoyed this conversation very much. What we are hoping will happen from today is that we can get a lot of responses that are going to say, Mandisa, we love what we see. Can we connect with Quincy? We will facilitate the connection between the prospective employer and yourself. We've come to the end of the chat, and just a quick summary. So today you've listened to Quincy Mofokeng. She's connecting with us from Cape Town in South Africa. She's at the Thambo Village, you said?
Yes.
Am I correct? Yes. And Quincy has experience in the financial services industry. She's worked in contact centers, outsourced, dealing with international clients, specifically in the USA. Quincy is someone that believes a lot in respect, in honesty. She's creative, she's outgoing. She's currently studying towards a qualification in marketing. She's looking for positions that will allow her to express her creativity. Contact center positioned in the contact center space, more in the back office side, and not more front facing, more front line, as in customer facing. And she's looking for anything in the marketing space that will allow her to express her creativity. As you've listened to her, when we asked her earlier on about the challenges facing companies, she came up with a brilliant idea about how about spreading your capital and allowing people to work reduced hours than to let people go, and just keep your people, but create a flexible working solution where everybody gets to stay. People can get to keep their salaries, even if it's a reduced salary, but at least they still have a job. So Quincy, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to just come and express yourself in this conversation, what we are trying to do, we are trying to leverage technology by connecting people like yourself to the industry.
Mhm.
And what we're trying to do is to really ensure that clients can get to engage with Quincy. They can get to see Quincy. They can get to experience Quincy. And based on that, they can make a decision as to whether or not Quincy is the person we would love to bring on our books. So thank you very much for your time, Quincy.
Thank
Thank you for listening to the Virtual Talent Room podcast with me, your host, Mandisa Makubalo. To connect with our guest, kindly visit our website at www.theunlimitedco.com and drop your details on the Contact Us page of the website. Alternatively, you can drop your details on the comments section just below this episode. Catch us again next week as we bring you more talent. Remember, our goal is to develop the township economy one talent at a time.